When did you get back from Abu Dhabi? Of course, a fun flight, I'm sure.
Foi a gente teve
We
dia
had
a
an extra
mais
day in Abu
lá em Abu
Dhabi to
Dhabi,
enjoy the facilities at the
mas
hotel, so that
deu
was
para aproveitar
nice. And we also
pouquinho
came
no
back by
hotel
business,
e
which was
já
definitely
voltamos para o
fun.
Brasil.
Yeah, can't go wrong there. And so, what was this trip a little bit? Of course, this trip was better than last time because you got the win. Big congratulations and everything. But did you got to explore a little bit more then compared to your last time there?
Bom, da outra vez, além de ter
After last
saído com a
time, I took a
vitória, a
flight
gente teve que pegar o
10
voo
hours after fighting.
acho
So,
que nem 10 horas depois de
besides
chegar. Então, a gente só
winning,
lutou,
having an
tomou
extra
café
day
e
was
esperou o voo. Dessa
definitely a
vez a
lot
gente
more
teve
fun.
mais tempo.
Very nice. Did you do anything cool? Like how I know that there's the bubble, right? So can you like you can't explore too much in the area, right? Just aside from what's in that area. I know that you always hear the race cars and everything like on the videos that they're doing. So like how many cool things do you really get to see while you're there? Or is it just like a little paradise?
Como a gente está dentro dessa bolha, a gente não consegue
Because
explorar
of the
muito
bubble, you can't really see
a
too much
cidade, né?
outside of the facility,
Mas
but
a pista de
the
corrida
Formula One track
é
is right
ao lado
around
do
the
hotel.
hotel,
Então,
so
na
you can
sacada, a
always
gente
hear the
consegue
cars and
enxergar
see the
os carros
cars running
correndo.
around.
E dá
It's
para
also
acessar
possible
ali
to go for a
também,
bike
o pessoal que
ride, but
faz
after fighting,
circuito ali de
what I really want
bicicleta
to do
também,
is just
mas
to eat and
depois da luta, para
to
mim, andar
feast.
de bicicleta não é o mais legal. Acho que o mais legal era comer mesmo e eu fiz.
Yeah, and I don't really want to do any activities after you're done with the main reason you're there for. So just on to relaxing, of course, that makes sense. But like I said, Marina, big congratulations on the win. You know, it was really a great performance. Just I'm curious, what is like the reaction been like of not from everybody on social media and everything, because we can see that, but like the people you know, like have there been a big outreach to you and just like people send you a bunch of messages?
Foi incrível, né? Porque todos que me
Everyone who
conhecem
knows me
sabem
well knows the strength
o
that I have
poder
in
que eu
my
tenho na minha
fists.
mão,
So
né?
we
E
knew
esse
that the
nocaute eu
knockout was
estava
bound
aguardando
to
por
happen
muito
soon.
tempo.
My coach told me
Mas
that I
ele
was really going to
realmente
begin
ia vir
understanding things
quando eu
after
tivesse
15
15 lutas para
fights.
mais,
So
que meu
we
coach sempre
were
me falou,
keeping
quando você tiver
this
15
knockout
para
in
mais
check
lutas, você
for
vai começar a
when
enxergar
that
melhor e a
happens.
tua mão vai entrar e vai nocautear. E foi o que aconteceu.
Definitely. And a new thing for, you know, this return to Abu Dhabi for your fight, of course, was there was a crowd again. So like, was that something that was nice to be back in front of a crowd, or was it just, you know, it is what it is?
Eu entro tão focada na luta que
When I entered the
realmente
fight, I
eu
entered
estava
so
percebendo
focused that I
que eu
can
estava lá em
barely pay
cima.
attention to
O
anything
diferencial de ontem
besides the upcoming fight.
é que eu
So I
consigo
didn't
ouvir meu
really
coach
realize that
claramente,
before the
ele está
fight.
falando do meu
The main
lado e eu consigo
difference
escutar muito
that I
bem. E como
feel
teve
with an
só
audience or not
700 mil
is
pessoas,
during
não
the
foi
fight,
aquela
when there isn't an
multidão,
audience,
mas
I can hear my coach
pós-luta ver
very
eles
clearly,
gritando
and that makes a
e vibrando
difference.
junto
But
comigo
after the fight,
é
it's really
incrível,
nice
né?
to hear
E
the
sempre ansiosa para que
audience,
volte
hear
o
everybody
público
cheering
todo e
on.
faz
That's
uma
really,
grande
really
diferença
nice.
para o show.
And then you can see the people around. But as there were only 2,000 people, there weren't that many people present there. I'm waiting for the days where we'll have a full audience back.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Getting back to some normality, right? But that's a great point you bring up about you know, being able to hear your coaches better, because that was like a really big thing, I think, when we had to start doing these events without crowds and everything, is that, oh, we can hear everything. So like, is that kind of a luxury that you might miss as crowds return, or is it just a matter of the times, would you say?
O atleta tem que se adaptar a toda circunstância.
Athletes
Eu acho
always
que
need
a
to
gente ainda está
adapt to what
lutando,
comes in
podendo
front
mostrar
of
o
them.
trabalho.
So with or
Então,
without
nesse ponto, a gente tem que se
an
adaptar
audience
e dar o
present,
melhor ali dentro
the athlete needs to
do
adapt
cage,
to
do
what's in
octógono.
front of him or her.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. And speaking of adapting, you know, to big situations like this, when you were in a very big spot, you know, open up the main card and then against a contender with a lot of hype behind them and everything. Not only that, though, you fought on a Conor McGregor card, which everybody also hypes up as a big deal and everything, being a part of one of his shows, because of course they attract the most eyeballs generally. What a top two, top three most viewed event of all time. So did it feel a lot bigger being a part of a Conor event?
Na verdade, é privilégio, né? Poder iniciar
It's
o ano
definitely a privilege to have a
ainda
fight
mais
right in the beginning
grande
of the
evento
year,
numerado, né? Com o
and
Conor
also
McGregor
fighting on a
fazendo
Conor
o main
McGregor
event.
card.
Então, com certeza,
That's
é
definitely a
privilégio,
privilege to have.
mas como eu
But
não
as I'm not
tô
Conor
ali
McGregor and I'm
contra
not my
uma adversária
opponents
que
who
tinha
had one of the
maiores
biggest
mídias aí dentro
followings of the
desse
card,
card,
For me, it was very relaxed. It was very chill. I was able to focus on what I needed to do, focus on the upcoming fight, and really pay attention to those to come. I don't get fascinated by the show.
Well, that's a good thing because, it seems like something that really gets to a lot of people at certain moments and everything. So you kind of prefer to be overshadowed a little bit in these cases because then, less pressure on you. Everyone expects this person to go out and do what they're expected to do a little bit. Whereas you get to come in and, play spoiler. Is that a little bit nicer, you would say?
Então, a gente sempre, eu e a minha equipe, meu treinador,
my team and I always work in silence. We don't let the upcoming fight affect us. So we're always very focused, and we honestly don't care about being talked about. We don't care about being the main event or something like that. So during this training camp, we were able to really focus in silence, pay attention to what was going to come, and that definitely helped. I recognized the fame of my opponent. It's a well-deserved fame. She was really good. And so that was awesome to be able to win from her. But before a fight, it's not something I really pay attention to.
Yeah, and with all that in mind, like when you were coming off of a loss, to Carla, of course, no shame in that one, going into this fight with Amanda. So like when you were coming off of that, did you use that as motivation at all? Like, did you feel pressure to perform because you were coming in off of your first career loss, or was it just like a back to the drawing board, kind of starting fresh kind of thing? Did you even think about that as like fuel, to get you ready for this next fight?
A minha última luta vem de uma derrota, uma luta dura contra.
My previous fight was a very tough fight. It was very atypical for a series of reasons. It was my only fight in 2020. It was in the middle of the pandemic. Something that I feel that affected my performance was I had to do most of my camp inside a hotel room, which I feel definitely affected my movement and my idea of space. So we left the fight with a sense of a loss and with the will to overcome it. But at the same time, I didn't feel that it was a loss because it was a very tough fight. I learned so much. So the idea was more to focus on what needed to be improved and what we could do different in this fight.
Absolutely, and showed that off very well, of course, with a fantastic knockout. And just speaking of that, the win over Amanda Ribas and everything, like, did she surprise you with anything in the fight? Because it didn't last very long. Of course, it's a round and 50 seconds or so. But did she throw at you anything that you weren't quite expecting? Because you looked very prepared for everything. Of course, people kind of point out, oh, Marina needs to work on her grappling defense. And, she got you down, but you looked very strong and held her in position there from the bottom and landed great shots. So just essentially, did she surprise you with anything in this one?
Na verdade, não. A gente conseguiu cercar.
Actually, no, I wasn't surprised by anything she brought to the fight. We were prepared for everything that she could possibly bring. In the first round, if you pay attention, I actually tried to take her down, but we got kind of messed up there, and then I ended up falling on my back, and I preferred staying there because I felt secure that nothing would happen wrong in that position. I wanted to get to the second round where I knew I would be able to get my movement back in order and to do what I needed to do.
And you did just that. So plan worked out beautifully. But you're ranked number 6 now, Marina. So that's awesome. Climbing the ladder in the rankings and everything. Is this the time where you kind of expected to be here? So we're still fairly early into your UFC career, but is this where you imagined how quickly you'd be in this spot?
Bom, depois da minha estreia no UFC contra Randa Marcos.
After my debut against Randall Marcos, who at the time was 12th in the ranking, me and my team soon realized that I had what I needed to bring to the UFC, and we also realized that everyone is beatable. After that, fight after fight, me and my team, we began realizing that we had what we needed to be among the top 10, the top 6, and now among the top 5 fighters of the UFC.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're thinking about this now. So going forward, like, How soon are you hoping to fight for the title at this point?
Acredito muito que a chance do title
Said
shot
that now in the strawweight division, there are lots of weird things going on. There are in the top 5, there are fighters who don't want to fight right now, others who are already scheduled. So she said that the title shot is a matter of opportunity, right? So if the opportunity presents herself, she and her team are going to be ready. If number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 can't fight for the belt, she as number 6 will definitely be prepared to fight for it. So says that it's just a matter of scheduling and for things to get in order in the strawweight division, and her time will come soon.
Yeah, very, very well said, I would say. And, it's kind of similar to the champ, Wei Li. I think she was ranked like 6 when she got her title shot. She was kind of the same spot that you are when she got that. And, just as for you, though, and these great elite strawweights in your division, there's some very talented strikers, atop of your division, and you're definitely in that mix as the elite group and everything. Like you look at your draws and your losses, even you've never really been outstruck or had much trouble with anybody in striking, in the UFC. And so just when you look at these potential matchups of other fellow great strikers at strawweight, like, is there a matchup you're really dying to have just out of like a fight that you think would be really fun rather than, of course you want to be champion and everything, but somebody who you're like, oh, I think we'd have a very fun, matchup.
Não, com certeza, assim, em ordem, eu acredito.
She said that she has an order of her favorites to fight next. In first place, she really wants to fight Yan Xiaonan, who's third in the division. She thinks that would be a really nice fight. In second spot, she says Joanna Jedrzejczyk, which is a fight that definitely needs to happen. She says she imagines it won't be the next fight or the one after that, but that will be a fight that the audience will love to see because it's 2 fighters who love to strike, but above all, it's 2 strikers who aren't afraid to strike and to throw heavy strikes. So she said that maybe she needs one more fight in the top 5 to get a title shot, and who knows, the title shot won't be against Joanna Jedrzejczyk herself.
Mais umas 2 lutas que eu faça.
Yeah, I mean, those are fantastic options. You literally cannot go wrong. Everybody's a great choice, in the division. So whoever you're matched with, I think would be very fun. But, as I mentioned, the elite strikers and everything, and you being one of those, when you look at kind of the other girls and everything, you're like the only one I would say who really has had the least, struggle with people, like not much competition coming back at you where you're beating people a lot easier in striking than, let's say, some of these other ones have, in my opinion, just from what we've seen. So is there something you would say that kind of makes you stand out a bit more as a striker compared to everybody else?
Não, com certeza. Desde das minhas primeiras lutas que eu comecei
Since my first fights in MMA, I soon realized that what made me different was my aggressiveness, how aggressive I was in my fights. It's only by fighting and by strikes that I'm gonna get really what I want. So soon I realized that the power of my strikes was something that really made me stand out. Besides that, I really think that I'm very resilient and that I won't stop fighting in difficult situations. And now in my last fight, I think people could also see a little bit of my KO power, the strength behind my punches and my power to knock people out.
Faz muito tempo que ninguém é nocauteada na categoria peso palha.
Well, yeah, we saw you essentially get 2 knockouts in one fight, so they better have seen your KO power in that. So, definitely agree with you there. But to shift a little bit, Marina, it's something that fascinates me a lot is the physical side of MMA specifically in sports, but then the mental side of things. Like when you look at both of these aspects, some people weigh one a lot more over the other. Some say they're pretty even. Just when it comes to the mental side of things and physical in MMA, what would you say is kind of more difficult?
Se não tiver os dois alinhados, o mental e o físico.
She said that if both of these aspects aren't in place, something can go wrong, right? An example she gave was you can be perfectly trained for a fight and you can be perfectly prepared, but if you have a moment of doubt in your mind during a fight, that can be the opportunity for you to be knocked out. She gave another example, which is in her last fight, she said that there was a moment where she got her first knockout and she got excited and she began celebrating, but then the judge said that the fight wasn't finished yet, so she needs to recover her focus, and soon she was able to do that and get her second knockout of the night. So both of these aspects need to be aligned to be able to be a successful fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. That those are great examples. Showed off how you got to refocus. Oh, fight's not over. Get back in there and put her away again, essentially. But just sticking like to the mental side of things too. I'm curious, like, how much time do you spend, like thinking about fighting? Is it just nonstop, or do you is it important to try and, let's think about some other things every now and then?
Na verdade, a parte mental, ela vem junto com
So the mental side of fighting is something that always comes together with training. She said that her trainer is always there to give her the mental support that she needs, telling her that she's going to knock out her opponents, how she's going to knock out her opponents, and pointing out her strengths. She says that that she thinks about fighting during her training camps, so when she's training and when she's exercising, but also in the 15 minutes a day that she focuses on visualizing the possible results of the upcoming fight, and while she's studying her opponent. Those are also moments in which she thinks about it, but thinking about it the whole time is too much.
Yeah, need a little break every now and then, everything in moderation, but of course, got to have the focus in line and everything. And I know you like to do like swimming and soccer, other sporting activities as well, Marina. So do you think it's important to kind of incorporate these other sporting activities, whether it's, just for fun, of course, but, maybe it's beneficial to do those for, your MMA career as well?
Minha vida inteira eu sempre fui envolvida com esporte.
That she's always been a very big fan of sports, and she's always excelled in sports since she was a young girl. So sports have always been a part of her life. But she says that during the training camp, what she really focuses on is on fighting, really. She swims for recovery, to recover from her training. But besides that, she doesn't do any other sports. She says that soccer is too dangerous. And she used to love skateboarding, but also if she falls or if an accident happens, then that would screw everything up. So she just focuses on training and in her free time and resting, so nothing wrong happens.
You're telling me you didn't get to skateboard with Max Holloway on Fight Island?
Não, eu vi o vídeo dele ali passando na janela do Conor e disse, pô, tinha um skate, ninguém me convidou. Mas não.
She said that she saw the video of him skating around, and she said she thought, wow, no one invited me to skate with him. It's a shame, but no skating on Fight Island.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time around, we'll see. So, come on, Max, what's up with that? But anyway, Marina, just two more things here left for you. As for like chill time activities, just relaxing and whatnot, like, you like to watch movies, TV shows? Like, what are some things you like to do when you're just chilling out, just vibing? And if you do like to watch TVs and movies, what are some recommendations you got for me? Come on, I'd like to hear.
Em camp de luta, né? Antes de luta, o meu descanso.
During her fight camp, her rest is literally doing nothing. She might turn on the TV, but she won't even pay attention to what's going on. She says that she thinks that if she begins watching a series and she likes it, there might be the risk of getting addicted to it and wanting to watch it all the time. So she doesn't even give herself the temptation of watching a series. The idea really is to focus on what's coming up.
Então, realmente eu não faço nada. As pessoas não acreditam, mas eu não faço nada. Só deitada, descansando.
Yeah, that's very true. It is very easy to get sucked into shows. So that is some dedication, ma'am. Serious athlete right there. So props to you. But all right, Marina, I will leave you with one last thing here, of course. just how soon would you like to fight again? You didn't take very much damage, at least it didn't look like it. You tell me, but when would you hope to get back in there fight again? Are you going to get back to training right away? Just like, what's the hope for you going forward now?
Não, eu tô inteira, realmente não machuquei nada, ainda bem.
She said that her plan is to return to the octagon in May, maybe at the end of May. She said that after a fighting camp, after a fight, she gives herself 1 week to rest, to eat, to do what she wants to do. And tomorrow, she's already going back to her fight camp, beginning from the basics. She said that every fight camp, she begins from scratch to be prepared for everything that might come. So that's it. And she still doesn't have an opponent, but she imagines that around May, she'll be back to fight.